Buckle up, college football. Colorado is going to shock some people in 2024.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. Like I said, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. Let's talk about it. Record prediction for Colorado this year. People are going to be shocked by this. I think a lot of people are looking at Colorado in two different ways. One, they're looking at Colorado like it's the same program that went 1-11, that just a few years ago was bottom of the barrel, wasn't relevant in the Pac-12. And they're like, yeah, this program has no hope. And it's like, okay, sure. Like Colorado historically in the 2000s doesn't have a lot of success. They haven't won a bowl game since 2004. So at that time I was 5. And they haven't been to a bowl game since the COVID year when they only played 6 games. So obviously not great. The past few years, they went 4-8 under Coach Prime in his first year, 1-11 the year prior, 4-8, 4-2 during the COVID year, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 10-4, 2016, which that was a fun year, 4-9, 2-10, 4-8. So a lot of 4 to 5 win seasons. And so people are just like, this Colorado program is not used to winning. And right. But that's why Deion Sanders is in town. And that's why the culture has flipped. And that's why everything else has flipped. So that's the first way people view this team. The second lens is through the lens of last year, which is wild to me because Colorado goes 4-11 the year prior. Coach Prime comes in, cleans house, says, all of you shoo, get out of here. We're bringing in a bunch of new guys and we are going to contend. Now, they didn't contend for anything, but they did win 4 games, which if you're being a realistic human, if you're being a realistic college football fan and you're choosing to look at it through the scope of did this team or did this program improve dramatically from years prior, then the answer is yes. They won 4 games. They won a couple Pac-12 games, or they won 1 Pac-12 game, excuse me. They were in position to win a lot of Pac-12 games. Stanford, Arizona, what else? USC, they had a chance late. So it's like they were close to being a bowl game or bowl team last year. I don't think people realize that because obviously it's more fun to hate or kind of shoot them down. But this Colorado team was much improved last year. But a lot of people are looking at them like they went 4-8 last year. They're not going to be good this year. Well, let me tell you, you look at who they've brought in. And one, people need to realize it is basically, I won't say a brand new team in, but they brought in 42 transfers. I imagine I'll go through them right now, just counting to you guys how many of them I think will start. 1, 2, Will Shepherd, Preston Hodge. Let's see, Chidozie, that's 5. Samuel will say 6. DJ McKinney 7. LaJohntay Wester 8. Torian Carter could be a starter. That's 9. Jalen Wester, Big Green, that's 11. Tyler Johnson 12. 13. Justin Mayers, Deion Hayes, so that's 14. They have a guy like Dallin Hayden who will start 15. Nakai Hill Green 16. Colton Hood probably not, so we'll be at 16. Ethan Boyd could start. That's 17 potential starters. Savion Riley could start. 18 potential starters. They have 18 guys who I'm looking at right now. They could have they could field a whole new starting offense and defense if they wanted to. So very different team, much improved. They went out and got experience. They went out and got guys that were proven. The year before, they went out and got guys that had a pulse. Coach Prime just wanted anyone that was interested in Colorado to come to Colorado because he wanted guys that weren't on the 1-11 team. Which, to each their own. Obviously, not a lot of those guys panned out at their next stop anyway, so I don't really know how much of a difference it would have been if he brought in like 20 transfers and just fused them into the team that they had, but that's neither here nor there. So those are the two lenses that people view Colorado in. But you have to look at this team and look at their portal class. They bring in 42 guys, the number 8 class in the country, right? it's a really good portal class. They have guys that will start across the offensive line that are proven. Excuse me. They have proven offense linemen. They're more physical than the defense line. Their wide receivers were already good, and now they're great. And then they added some defensive back talent that they just did not have around Travis Hunter last year. So very different team. So all of this to say, I'm going to go through the schedule right now, and this is my June edition of the schedule prediction. I will go game by game, provide a little explanation as to why I think they're going to be winning that game, losing that game. And at the end, we'll talk about their record and if they make a bowl game or not, we'll see. So starting with North Dakota State, week 1. Whoever scheduled this 8 to 10 years ago, why? That's all I got to ask. Horrible way to start the season in the sense of like, there's no easing your way into the season. Now, I do think Colorado wins this game, and I think they build a lot more confidence and a lot more resistance to how difficult the next few games could be. So if they win, which I do think they will, it'll help set them up for the next couple games, which I think is more important than people realize. So I have them starting off 1-0, beating North Dakota State. Now, they head to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on Nebraska, obviously, biggest rival in college football, or one of the biggest rivals in college football. Colorado's biggest rival is what I was trying to say. It will hold, I believe it holds around 100,000 fans or 90,000 fans. It's going to be all, there's going to be some black and gold, I would say, but it's going to be very red in there. It's going to be very hostile. Nebraska last year, everyone was like, Colorado's going to beat them. Like they're going to blow them out. Or I mean, Nebraska's going to blow out Colorado. Why would Colorado even have a chance? Colorado beat the brakes off of them. Now I think it's going to be closer, but I think Colorado gets the win here. Now, if this game was by say week 5, maybe Dylan Raiola has his feet under him by then, but I don't think he's going to be ready to win a hostile game like that a couple weeks into his season, because I look at Nebraska's schedule and this is how they open. So Colorado starts off with North Dakota State, one of the best FCS programs. They've won like 9 championships in the past 11 years. They are going to be a physical team. Nebraska opens the year against UTEP, who not the best program. They've struggled historically, and I just feel like that they'll be able to sleepwalk through that game. Dylan Raiola is going to get his feet wet, but not in a hostile not in a hostile environment, not in a game where the other team has a chance to blow them out if things don't go right. So I think Colorado beats Nebraska on the road, hostile environment. They're 2-0. They go back to this home state of Colorado, but they travel to Fort Collins to where they're going to play Colorado State. This is, I don't know if it's a bold prediction. I think they beat them by 20 this year. That's my bold prediction ahead of the season. I guess you could say Colorado State has no business being close with Colorado. They just don't. Colorado has a totally different level of talent on their roster this year. I thought they should have blown them out last year, and they didn't. It was kind of embarrassing in the sense that they needed like double overtime to beat them, but they blow them out. So now they're sitting at 3-0. They return home to take on a Baylor team where Dave Aranda coaching for his job. They have Toledo transfer DeQuan Finn, who I really like. I think he's going to be one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the Big 12. And it's going to be a hungry Baylor team. Baylor's always good defensively. I think Colorado escapes a close one for homecoming. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Colorado hits the road again. They go to UCF. They're kind of playing in an environment where Deion Sanders wants to recruit Florida heavily. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on this game, a lot of eyes in the state of Florida. People are going to want to see how he does. Obviously, it's not a homecoming game for all the Floridians, but a lot of the Florida guys, I'm sure their families will make the trip out to Orlando to watch this game. I think this game will be interesting. I'm going to give the edge to Colorado here because, one, I don't know if I trust KJ Jefferson enough. If he's able to be a consistent passer and hurt Colorado with his legs, I think that's where Colorado could kind of falter a little bit. Also, UCF's defense last year. Let's bring up the numbers. Total defense in 2023. I don't want to say that they weren't impressive, but I don't think they were the best by any means. You look at where they ranked in terms of total defense rankings last year. UCF had trying to find the numbers here. Central Florida, not one of the better defenses. I think we could all agree on. You just look at where they who they lost to, how they lost. A lot of fourth quarter blown losses. I don't think they had a Big 12 roster, if I'm being honest. I think they had an American roster, American Athletic Conference roster, that just wasn't suited for the Big 12. I think it'll be better this year, but they ranked 81st in the country, gave up 391 yards. Do I trust their defense to take a big enough step to slow down this Colorado offense? No. And do I think KJ Jefferson can outduel Shador Sanders? No. So now we look at it, and yeah, I have Colorado starting off 5-0 before the bye week. You head into October, and you're playing a ranked Kansas State team. I don't know where they're going to be ranked, but they're going to be ranked. Dylan Edwards is going to be back. It's going to be a sort of beef there. They have Avery Johnson, a really good young quarterback. While I know a lot of people want to gas up Will Howard, Avery Johnson scared him out of town. Let's call a spade a spade. Avery Johnson is the reason that he left the program. Now, Will Howard was an experienced quarterback who was good, but I think Avery Johnson's better. And so I think this is where Colorado suffers their first loss of the year, and I think they lose to Kansas State. Then the following week, they have at Arizona. I think realistically, just looking at the first, I have them at 5-1 right now. In those 5 games, I have them winning 3 road games. And I don't know if Colorado as a program is good enough yet to just win out on the road. And I think beating Arizona and Tucson, it's a revived Arizona program. They have Tetroa McMillan. They have Noah Fafita, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 as well. They kept some key players. Not everyone followed Jed Fish to Washington. I think that's a tough loss here. I think they dropped 2 in a row. So now they're 5-2. They get to play Cincinnati after that stretch, and I don't think Cincinnati is going to be that good. I think Cincinnati is going to be one of the bottom feeder teams in the Big 12 again. So now they're 6-2. So they've made a bowl game by this point, and now it's just trying to stay in Big 12 contention. This is where it gets tricky, though. Their final 4 games, they have at Texas Tech. That's a tough one. At Texas Tech, I think I believe it's a Friday night. Let me check my calendar real quick. November 9th. For those of you watching this live, I appreciate you guys for bearing with me as I check the calendar. It's a Saturday. For some reason, I had in my mind that was a Friday. Saturday. But either way, Lubbock is a tough place to play. Let's just call it how it is. Colorado's record all time versus Texas Tech on the road specifically it's not the most pretty record, I think you could say. All time Texas Tech, they're 5-5 against Colorado, so they've split the difference. But Texas Tech is 4-1 at home against Colorado. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. Texas Tech, I think, is going to be a dark horse in the Big 12 as well. So now I have them at 6-3. They play Utah. I think Utah is going to be the team that wins the Big 12. So another loss, 6-4 at Kansas. I think Colorado gets an upset here. I think Jalen Daniels hasn't proven enough that he could stay healthy through a season. I don't know if I trust Kansas to sort of be one of the better teams in the Big 12 throughout the year. I just don't trust them yet until I see it. So Colorado gets a 7th win right here. They're 7-4. And then they finish the season off against Oklahoma State, who Oklahoma State has Ollie Gordon, best running back in the conference. And Alan Bowman is a very veteran quarterback. They have a solid defense. They're a team that played in the Big 12 title game. I think Oklahoma State benefited from a lot of one-game loss, or a lot of close games, not one-game losses, a lot of close games, but I do think Colorado loses there. So I have them at 7-5 on my very early predictions. I could adjust it. I want to see how the fall roster shakes up and the depth chart shakes up and stuff like that. And I want to see how Colorado gets off to a hot start, because I will do a mid-season evaluation and kind of come back to this moment and be like, was I wrong? Was I right? You guys comment below. What is Colorado's record prediction? Is it 7-5, 8-4? I almost went 8-4, but I feel like that final 4-game stretch is going to be really tough. I think if they could go 2-2, that's pretty successful in that final 4-game stretch. So comment below what you think their record prediction is going to be. Tell me which game you think I'm right about, wrong about. Let's talk about it in the comment section. I look forward to you guys' feedback. When we come back, we're going to be talking about why are people so surprised at Colorado's EA Sports ranking. But first, a word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And I just got to say, I'm excited to have you guys with me for this upcoming season. I'm excited for all the college football things that we will be talking about. Let's talk about the rankings. EA Sports dropped their rankings, and people are outraged at how good Colorado is. So I'm just going to go through. They're in the 11 to 25 range. Michigan, the defending champions, 88. Florida State, potential playoff team last year, 88. Miami, 88. Texas A&M, 88. Ole Miss, who's viewed as one of the best teams in the SEC, 88. Colorado, 87 overall. And people are I don't even know the right word. People are pissed. Like, there's no other way to put it. They are pissed. And I understand why they could feel this way. Did I think Colorado was going to be rated this high? No, I probably would have guessed an 85, 84. An 87, though. That's a borderline 90. But let's just break it down from a realistic perspective. Excuse me, got the hiccups again. You look at their offense. Shedeur, best quarterback in college football. You can make an argument. At worst, he's top 3. I think a lot of people would put Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck over him. That's fine. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Rankings like that are all subjective. So whatever you think, that's fine. At worst, I think we could agree that Shedeur Sanders is a top 3 quarterback. You look at the receivers. You have Travis Hunter, who is probably a top 5 player in college football. Top 3 at worst. Top 10 at worst, excuse me. Travis Hunter is a two-way athlete. He's dynamic. You have him at receiver. LeJonte Wester, 108 catches last year. Super fast. Jimmy Horn, super fast. I think he had like nearly 60 catches last year. Will Shepard, he was making moves in the SEC. Obviously, Vanderbilt's not good or wasn't good. He was still showing out. So it's like, okay, they have a lot of weapons at receiver. Running back, Dallin Hayden, really good, underrated, didn't get a lot of shine at Ohio State because they had a deep running back room. He's going to be, I think, someone that turns a lot of heads. So it's like, okay. Then you look at the offensive line. Last year, the offensive line probably as a unit would have had an average rating of a 65. This year, they brought in Jordan Seaton, who's a 5-star freshman. And then I think they have like 10 new offensive linemen total. They are, for the most part, all starting caliber offensive linemen. A lot of these guys, you got Tyler Johnson, you got Justin Mayers, you got Khalil Benson. I'm probably missing someone. You got guys who started games. Like, they started and were effective. Like, I think the offensive line for Colorado, the transfers, I think they allowed like a combined 9 to 10 sacks last year. Maybe 12 is what the number was. For reference, Shedeur Sanders was sacked 52 times. 52. So you have all these new offensive linemen. You have elite weapons, elite quarterback. Okay, let's look at the defense now. Travis Hunter again. He's probably going to be a 98 overall as a player in the game. You have DJ McKinney. You have Preston Hodge, who's one of the best corners in the country per PFF. You have a damn good secondary. Shiloh Sanders is a lot better than people realize. Cameron Summon Craig, I think he's pretty solid. So right there, I would give that secondary group as an average, probably like an 84, 85. Linebackers, I'm not high on, but they're experienced. You have Nakai Hill Green. You got Levante Bentley, Trevor Woods. They're solid, right? And then you look at the defensive line. You have Deion Hayes, who I think he had like 5 sacks. He was really good for Pitt last year. Samuel Kunalola had 5 or 6 sacks. You have BJ Green, who was an all Pac-12 player. He had 6 sacks. You have Anquin Barnes, who's an absolute monster, former 4-star. Quincy Wiggins, former 4-star, big dude, who I think will sort of make a name for himself. You just have so much talent where it's like, why are we confused? Colorado's roster is such an upgrade that I think people are purposely thinking of them last year and being like, yeah, they sucked last year. So why would we think they're going to be good this year? Because they improved it. Deion Sanders went out and improved the roster. Like, what is so complicated about that to understand? So I think the rating, I probably would have projected them to be in the 85-ish range. But then you just look at how the ratings are. I think they're being generous with the ratings because Wisconsin, who didn't do much last year, 87. USC, who lost Caleb Williams, lost a lot of talent, 87. Virginia Tech, who I'm not that high on, 87. NC State, 87. Kansas, 87. Oklahoma State, like they're just dishing out ratings in the 80s. So like the game is probably a very generous rating for a lot of programs. So people need to understand, one, Colorado is going to be a very solid team. Two, they improved the roster. So individually on paper, they look really good. Whether or not that's going to work out, that's to be seen. But people relax. I mean, relax a little bit. You have to have some understanding here. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Colorado's 3 guys that were drafted in the recent NBA draft. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going, whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app, dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel/Locked On and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Welcome back, Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me a part of your day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share this with a friend. We're approaching 6,000 subscribers. Really appreciate all the support. We're at 5,300 right now. Would love to see that number grow. Gonna have some really cool guests coming up. Let's talk about the NBA draft for Colorado. So they had 3 players drafted. It was a really, really, really good draft for them, I would say. They had 2 first-round picks and I think a steal in the second-round pick. So starting off with Cody Williams, he was drafted 10th overall, former 5-star recruit, brother of Jalen Williams, kind of expected to go in the lottery, 6'8" forward. Didn't get to see a lot of him, which was really disappointing. He broke his face or something. I think it was his nose. So he misses some time. Then he comes back and he's not really a part of the offense anymore. They kind of had moved on from utilizing him a lot. And so during the tournament, we didn't get to see a lot from him. So he goes to the Utah Jazz. Great pick for Utah. I think that Utah team in a couple of years will be pretty good. Then Tristan da Silva goes 8 picks later to the Orlando Magic. He's 6'9" forward, spent 4 years in Boulder. I think he almost played 130 games. He's someone that's going to provide shooting, defense. I think he's someone 4 years from now, he's going to be one of the more underrated players in the NBA. He has that kind of potential. He just does everything right. I made an appearance on the Locked On Orlando Magic show, Locked On Magic, and it was just really fun to talk about him because he does all the right things, and I think his game is going to translate seamlessly to the NBA. I think a lot of times there's this notion around older guys where it's like, oh, they are what they are. They're not going to be that good, right? And I don't think that's the case for Tristan da Silva. And then rounding out the bottom, KJ Simpson was taken with the 42nd pick. So in the second round, 6'2" guard, spent a couple years at Colorado, taken by the Hornets. I think he's a good rotational guard. They obviously have LaMelo. They have Brandon Miller. They have a lot of guard play. I think he's the perfect sort of backup guard that could run the second unit, that could provide you some scoring, run the second unit of offense. And if you're Colorado, you have to love where the basketball program is headed. Now, I think the roster this next year is a little bit scary. They obviously lost a lot of talent, but very big year for the NBA draft for Colorado Buffalo. So shout out to Tad Boyle, his talent acquisition, his development of these guys. Big year for Colorado. I will keep you guys covered on how they do in the NBA Summer League. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that, and I will see you guys next week.